All right, so this is AMP1 Lab, and I am Dr. Edwards. So office is in 1305, so this is the concept lab right there. If you keep going down the hall, my office is down a couple doors down. Office hours, Wednesdays, 9:30 to 11 a.m., Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10:40 a.m. to 12:10. COVID, as long as the weather's okay, we'll probably meet out in the pavilion or in the concept lab. And Fridays, 8 a.m. to noon are online. Office phones, 903-693-2098. Preference for, if you need to email me, just use the Canvas app. If Canvas is down for some reason, you can email me at aedwards@canvas_canvas@panola.edu. A little about me. So I have a bachelor's degree in biomedical science from A&M, master's in health administration from A&M Health Science Center, and a doctorate in educational leadership policy studies from Tarleton State University. My wife's a Panola College graduate, so I'm really excited to be able to teach here. You'll need some sort of technology, computer or your phone, speakers. You probably will need a webcam for at least a way to record. Could be your phone. For this course, I use a lot of Google Documents, sheets, and presentations. You will need ability to record video for this class later in the semester, and we'll give you plenty of time to be able to do that. We use Mastering AMP, which is part of Pearson, which is for your textbook. Same code that you'll use to register your Mastering AMP access code in lecture, you use the same code in lab, okay? But you will need to register it twice. All right, here's information about distance learning. And again, if you already have code from last semester, check and see if your code will still work, because that way you may not have to buy a new one. I can't guarantee you whether or not you will or not. I'm just saying, if it were me, I would check to see if I didn't have to pay it again. So, all right. I separate out the modules into learning activities and then assignments. So I'll show you what that looks like. So if you click modules, so here you got sectional syllabus, lab syllabus addendum, lab schedule, course information sheets, tutoring times that I have. You can schedule office hours. So if you want to make sure nobody else is in there when you come for office hours, you can schedule a time. Ms. Parrott runs the study room and the concept lab. And once she gets her hours updated, we'll get that updated for you. But that's, they also, anytime you go in, write your name down and when you checked in and when you checked out. So we use that for extra credit at the end of the semester. All right, here's a Zoom link for a lab. In the event you're sick or something happens, you can't come, you can click that to join the lab online, live via Zoom. All right, here's my link to subscribe to my YouTube channel so I can get some more subscribers. Thank you very much. All right, everybody always laughs when I say that, but I could use a few more subscribers. So here's week 1. And so you've got things to do to study, resources, and then down here, things to do for a grade. So Mastering AMP, this time around, we'll have, or you'll see a lot of pre-labs and post-labs. So pre-labs are usually going to be due on Monday nights, 11:59 p.m., just to kind of prep you for what we're going to do in lab that week. I didn't make it due this time because we wouldn't have had an opportunity to get on yet. But it's going to be due on the 13th. And then usually on Fridays after you come to lab the second time, you'll have a post-lab due, okay? All right. You also have a Introduction to Mastering AMP activity due at the end of the week, or Sunday night. All right. And then next week, here are the activities for next week. All right. So here's the sectional syllabus. All right. Okay, it's 4 semester hours, combined grade and lecture and lab. These are times when I meet, kind of follow a lab, lecture, lab schedule on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay. So alternate operations during campus closure. In the event of an emergency or announced campus closure due to a national disaster or pandemic, might be necessary for Panola College to move to an altered operation schedule. And then the college may opt to continue instruction through methods like using Canvas, online conferencing, email messaging, or some alternative schedule. And it's your responsibility to monitor the college website and monitor Canvas for your courses. If we had to go to alternate operations, basically you'd submit your assignments in Canvas. Unfortunately, a lot of them are already like that, okay? Face covering is required. If you have a medical issue that prevents you from doing it, you need to contact Stacy G and apply, and then you can, if they agree, then you can get some sort of notification that they'll send to me. But you have to get that first. And non-compliance, you can go through the discipline process if necessary. But just make sure to remember to wear your mask, have it over your nose and your mouth. Make sure your mask is appropriate for school. All right. So in this course, we use critical thinking skills, communication skills, empirical and quantitative skills, teamwork. All right, so for lab, learning outcomes include applying appropriate safety and ethical standards, locating and identifying anatomical structures, appropriately utilizing laboratory equipment such as microscopes, dissection tools, general labware, physiology data acquisition systems, and virtual simulations. Work collaboratively to perform experiments, demonstrate the steps involved in scientific method, communicate results of scientific investigations, analyze data, and formulate conclusions, and use critical thinking and scientific problem-solving skills, including but not limited to inferring, integrating, synthesizing, and summarizing to make decisions, recommendations, and predictions. Course content. In the lab, you'll be learning main concepts of A&P and the relationship of chemistry with A&P, structural components of the cell and genetic regulation of cells, importance of enzymes, energy and metabolism to cell function, importance of membrane transport and membrane potentials to cell functions, classification, structure, and function of tissues, structure, function, and clinical considerations of the integumentary system, bone tissue, including bone development, axial and appendicular skeletons, articulations, muscles and muscle tissue, central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, and sensory organs, and major muscles of the body. As far as assignments for lab, you have lab quizzes, okay? Typically those are gonna be on paper, usually multiple choice, and usually get a word bank for those, okay? I usually give you 15, 20 minutes to do those at the beginning of class. And we also have lab practicals. Those typically you walk around the room, there's 3 or 4 fill in the blank questions at each station. You might have to write the name of something, you might have to write down the function, things like that. Okay. Mastering A&P quizzes, how we're gonna do that this time. You get 5 attempts at the quiz, you take the best grade. Instead of having it where you can answer the same question a bunch of times and just see if you get it right, you just answer it once, and then we move on to the next question, but you can take the test or quiz 5 times. And that way it gives you time to sort of practice and see what you got, what you got wrong, and where you need to study to get a better grade. All right. Um, Lab exercises. So those are things like the video project on muscles and bones, and we'll talk more about that later. All right. Normal grading scale. Lecture 70% of your course grade. All right. Lab is 30%. Lab quizzes make up 20% of your lab grade. Mastering A&P quizzes make up 10% of your lab grade. Lab exercises make up 30% of your lab grade. Lab practicals make up 40%. Student can earn up to 2 points on their final lab average by active and studious participating in lab activities and not exceeding the college's attendance policy. All right. Lab manual. Lab manual for human anatomy and physiology, a hands-on approach by Green, Robeson, and Strong. Okay, so it's a loose leaf. All right, so if you get that in the, when you get that in the bookstore, you can basically put it in a 3-ring binder. Exactly. Just put it in a 3-ring binder and you can use it. It's got a lot of great activities which we'll use in class as well as the ones that are online. That has a lot of great fill in the blank type activities you can do in class to study. So we'll be using that a lot. All right. Let's see anything else on here. Course conducted via video conferencing may be recorded and shared for instructional purposes by the instructor. Hence, they show up on my YouTube channel. All right, and then people can get on online. All right, get your materials from the bookstore. You need testing services, so if you have any kind of accommodations that you normally get, contact testing services for that. Or if you have any accommodations, go to the student support services or disability support services, and they'll send me your documentation. All right, I don't want to see anybody withdraw from the course. I want you all to make it to the end, but if you have some sort of circumstance where you have to withdraw, just make sure you actually take the initiative and withdraw from the course. Don't just not show up, because then you would end up failing as opposed to actually withdraw. Okay, so just want you to be aware of that. All right. Course information sheet. So really what's on here that's unique, basically, you know, we use the cell phones at the beginning and in the class. Also, sometimes we take pictures of things in class. Just, you know, don't be on class doing Instagram and TikTok, okay? But just use it when you need to use it. So basically, if you're expecting an urgent call, let me know before class. Sit you know, you can sit where you sit, but just, you know, go out and take your call when you need to do it. Just to try not to make it a habit. So occasionally we'll have breaks. We don't really do breaks as much now because we do 2 days a week. So we typically don't really have time for breaks. But just, you know, if you got to step out and use the restroom, you know, do what you need to do. So basically be awake, be alert, take notes, be positive, right? Keep a positive attitude, use good study habits, work on your retention, and recall factual information. It is a lot of information you got to know, especially for the practicals, okay? You can do it, just, you know, work on your ability to remember stuff. Improve your understanding of different concepts. Work on your ability to improve, as in interpreting and analyzing information. Work on your time management skills. Stay organized. So how many folks got a job that they got to work on? Okay, a lot of you. All right. Anybody take care of family members? I'm not going to say specifically whether it's parent, son, daughter. I mean, all of us got somebody we're helping out these days, right? So maybe it's elderly parents, whatever. Everybody's busy, right? So got to be organized. So be prepared, ask your questions, set reasonable, attainable goals, push yourself, you know, don't go crazy with the goals, but push yourself. So if you know, got a C on the last test, try to get a B. If you got a D, try to get a C, you know, like whatever that is for you. Figure out what that is, but set a goal. All right. Be diligent. Try to enjoy this as much as you can. I know it may be not the most fun thing in the world, but try to enjoy what you can out of it. Okay. No getting around to reading. We make you buy the e-text because we want you to read it. Okay. It may not be your most fun thing you like to do, but I can tell you the students who read the e-text tend to do better than the students who don't. So, you know, make sure you're getting in there and you're reading it. It'll only help you, right? If you're having trouble reading it, you know, we can work on things that help you with reading. But, you know, just get used to reading. You're gonna have to read nursing textbooks or OTA textbooks. You know, it's just gonna be part of it. With it, the more you read, the more you remember. All right. While learning, make sure you practice. All right, self-testing techniques. So you could read it, but then if you don't ever practice to see what you know, you may not realize that you have gaps. Okay. Use your flashcards if you make them. Study in small groups, even with COVID, if you got to meet online or you get out somewhere in the park or you get 6 feet apart. I mean, students tend to do better when they study together. Recopy your notes for better understanding. So some people that helps them to rewrite them. Make sure you put in the investment of time to understand things. Space your studying out. Don't just try to study once a week. Study a little bit every day or every other day. All right. Follow the instructions I give you. If I tell you to read something, read that. If I tell you, I'm not telling you that to give you a hard time. I'm telling you because I think it's the best way to help you remember it. All right. Use your study guides, your lab manual, your textbook, and study like you're taking an essay test, because essay tests are usually harder. So if you're ready for an essay test, you'll be ready for multiple choice. Look at the chapter objectives. Beginning of every chapter has learning objectives in the e-text. Read those. After you've read the chapter, if you don't understand what any of those, schedule an office hour and we'll talk about it. Okay. But that tells you, like, what do I really need to know from this chapter? Okay. All right. Anything's fair game. So even if it's, on random page in the e-text, if it's in the chapter, it's fair game. So just, keep that in mind. All right. Some things are more important than others, and part of my job is telling you what are the most important things to study. Could be a random thing that shows up on a test, but I try to focus my test questions on what I think is the most important stuff. So, all right. So Syllabus Addendum. So this tells you kind of which lab objectives associated kind of with the different units for the tests. We've gone over most of this already. Let's see. 3 absences maximum to get your full points for lab. Now, again, I don't want anybody coming to class sick. So if you tell me, just let me know you're sick. It won't be counted against you, okay? Academic integrity, just don't cheat. If it's an individual assignment, don't try to look over on anybody else's notes. Don't ask anybody any other questions. Don't try to use notes if there's no notes allowed. So, just don't do it. So if you get caught cheating once, you can get a 0 on the assignment. If you get caught twice, you could be removed or fail the course. Points can be deducted if assignments are turned in late. I'd rather them be turned in late than not at all, so you can get some points, okay? But, typically there are points deducted for turning in work late. All right. So, all right. So we're gonna go ahead and start going over the material for the week. But before I do that, what I want to do is kind of have you watch this video. And so if you were watching this online later, just go into the course for week 1 and then scroll down to watch video lab safety. Click that and watch the video. I'm going to pick up the recording when we finish it. But yeah, so this is week 1, what we're covering in week 1. Week 2, then you have the quiz, and then the following week you have the practical. Okay. So all right, so we're covering lab safety equipment. It's one of the topics we're covering this week. So you'll need to know the name of different things. So if I show them to you, you know what they are. So I kind of quiz you, be able to have to say, select the, from multiple choice or, list of answers, the right piece of equipment. Or you might have to select the right function. On a practical, you might have to write the name or write the function. Okay. So this is an eye wash bottle. So you can spray this in your eye if you got something in your eye. We also have an eye wash station here. So pull this down. You can't really see this real well, but basically there's 2 little spots here for your eye. Basically, I'll pull it down. So this lever is for the shop. So you got chemicals on you or burning. It shouldn't happen, but just letting you know that water will come out there. All right. So broken glass container. Here's broken glass container. You see that on the screen. All right. Biohazard container, biohazard box. It's just like that. All right. Sharp's biohazard container. So the one that we have looks like this. Okay. We put scalpel blades or broken things in there. Sharp objects. Fire blanket. So inside of the bag, the actual blanket, it's flame retardant. Okay. So you could put that on someone or something that's burning. Fire extinguisher is located over there. All right, so here we start getting into names and functions. All right. So this is the beaker. All right. It's used to transfer and hold liquids. It's a funnel used to transfer liquids. All right. So this is more of a scientific beaker. So this is the graduated cylinder used for measuring liquids accurately. It has all these little lines there. You can get an more accurate reading when you use the beaker. Like each one is 25 or yeah. So whereas this one, you have each graduation is 1. So you get a lot more accurate reading. But if you change your oil, you probably use the pump, right? So you should know what that is. All right, flask has more of a cone shape for holding liquids, making solutions. Because it has a cone shape, it's less likely to spill. So you could mix things up in it. All right, microscope slide cover protects your specimen from your microscope and protects your microscope from the specimen. Okay, it goes over the microscope slide. So basically it's slide specimen on top, and here you have slide cover goes on top. You might also see cover slip. So just know they're the same thing. Cover slip is the same thing as a microscope slide cover. Okay. I don't want anyone to miss that if they see cover slip anywhere. All right, dissecting scissors and the scalpel to use to cut your dissection organism. All right, so scalpel, scissors. All right, forceps. So you can transfer, pick up small objects. The T-pen looks like a T. Okay, pin down or hold down a section of a dissected organism. You have probes, dissecting probes, could be wooden or metal. You point at a dissecting organism with it. The eyedropper, use that. You're transferring a small amount of liquid with it, right? Okay, whole thing, dissection tray. The dissection tray. There. All right, so these are, so the dissection tray holds the organism during dissection. The gloves protect your body and your hands. You're working with hot objects, you use these gloves. Okay, pipettes. So also for transferring small amounts of liquid. So same function as an eyedropper, but this is a pipette. This is an eyedropper. Okay, they're not the same. They have a similar function, but they're not the same objects. Bunsen burner, flame, fire source for heat and also sterilizing things. We don't have those in this class because we don't have gas, right? We don't have gas hookups at your tables. But you might see them in a chemistry or a physics lab. Test tubes. Test tubes hold liquids in an experiment. If I'm holding an individual test tube, I use a test tube holder. If I'm holding multiple test tubes, I use a test tube rack. Okay? This is a rack. This is a rack. Multiple test tubes can be held in. Individual, use a holder. Microscope. Use magnify specimens, right? So you can see things that are really small. We'll go over how to use that in a week or so. Triple beam balance, we got those up there to measure the weight or the mass of something. Hot plates, a heat source. You can heat up liquids with it. Thermometer, this is one that we have. Okay. So you can stick it down into something like that. Yeah, it's a temperature reading here. You used to measure the temperature, obviously. All right. Organ model examples. Right. So what is this? The heart. It's an organ model. It's one organ. Right? So multiple organs here, multiple muscles. Okay, so that's not an organ model. All right. What is this? It's not, right? One organ model. You might know what this one is. Kidney. Okay. This is the kidney, one organ. So these are organ models. Okay. All right. This is a torso model. We use these a lot. All right. Multiple organ systems involved. Covers the torso of the body. So it's a torso model. Everybody understand the difference? Okay. All right. Let's transition. Now that we talked about lab equipment, let's talk about lab safety. So with lab safety, you might see a safety diamond. So if you're working in the hospital, they're probably going to have, a inventory room. It's got different chemicals in it, right? That you might be using to take care of your patients. And you might see safety diamond on. Okay. You got to be able to know how to interpret it. Okay. This one has 3s and 4s on the screen. This one has all 0s. Okay. And we'll cover the significance of that in just a minute. So the way I remember this, blue is for health. Now, how do you remember blue is for health? Well, back in my health administrator days, I used to work with insurance companies, and one of the insurance companies that we dealt with a lot was Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas. Okay, blue health. Okay, so that helps me to remember. All right, red, fire, flammable. Yellow, there's a reaction happening. Okay, so it's reactivity. White means special symbols. Okay, so blue health, red, flammable, yellow reactive. Okay. All right. So, all right. What color is flammable? What color is health? What color is reactive? There you go. Okay. All right. Next thing I want you to know all these numbers and every description on this page. No. All right. So what I want you to know is the higher the number, the more reactive. Okay? Things with a lower number are less reactive, things with a higher number. Things with a higher number, or chemicals with a higher number, are more reactive things with chemicals with a lower number. This is light, ordinary material. 4, too dangerous to enter vapor or liquid. Flammable. 0, will not burn. 4, extremely flammable. Reactive. Normally stable. May detonate. Okay, big difference, right? So higher numbers, more reactive. Say it with me. Higher numbers, more reactive. All right, thank you. All right. So you know colors, you know numbers. All right, now we know symbols. Okay. All right, so here's some special symbols that you probably need to know. All right. There are lots of them, but here are some of the more common ones. All right. W with a line through it means no water. Don't put it around any water. Okay, it's going to react. Okay, these circles, it's a biohazard. Okay, this one is radioactive. It's kind of like a beach ball, I guess, but it's not good. Not a good beach ball, I guess, but it's radioactive. With the fire or the flames, it's an oxidizer. Okay, with this thing messing up the body, that is carcinogen. Line through the air means it reacts with air. Okay, those are some of the more common symbols that you'll see. Okay, you would be expected to know. Okay. All right. So I want to shift gears at this point, talk a little bit about material safety data sheets. All right. So at your tables, you have material safety data sheet. All right. So first off, what chemical is being described on this material safety data sheet? Hydrochloric acid. So your facility may have hydrochloric acid somewhere in the facility. So with having that container of it, they should also have a data sheet, material safety data sheet. All right. So section 1, let's see. All right. Brooks, what does section 1 tell you about? Okay, very good. So it tells you things like any synonyms, okay, contact information for the company that you got it from. Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. Romero in section 2. All right. So what ingredients are in it? What are the components? Very good. It also tells you the percent weight of each. All right. Let's see. What's your section 3? Okay. So what kind of things did it tell you about this? Okay. Very good. So if there's an exposure, you know what to expect. And then you would know generally how to treat that because you would have had a training for that. All right. Let's see. Campbell, section 4. All right. So what are some of the things that are headings that it gives you in that section? Okay, very good, very good. All right. Let's see. Sellers, Emily, section 5. All right, so it tells you information what to do if it burns, right? If you have a fire involving this chemical, right? All right, let's see. Well, section 6. Okay, so what to do if you have an accidental spill, whether it's small or large, what you need to do. Okay, see Jordan, section 7. All right, so it tells you generally what you need to do, what precautions you need to take, how you need to store that chemical. Sellers 8, or Sellers Hannah, section 8. Okay, so what are some things you do to protect yourself if you have an exposure? Very good, very good. All right. So Romero, section 9. Okay, so it tells you the states, chemical states that it's in, molecular weight, pH, whether it's acidic or basic. Very good. That's good. That's good. Just, yeah, just a little bit from each section is fine. All right. Let's see. With water, section 10. All right. So, tell you special remarks on the reactivity.
Reacts with water, especially when water is added to the product.
Okay, very good. All right. What about corrosivity?
Extremely corrosive in the presence of aluminum, with copper, stainless steel, with steam.
Very good. Very good. All right. Garcia, section 11. Good. So, tell you about different effects. So there's toxicity, toxic effects, chronic effects, things like that. All right. In section 12, so ecological is biodegradable. All right. Section 13. Yeah. So tells you it has to be disposed of with the federal, state, and local environmental control regulations. So what if you don't know the federal, local, and state environmental regulations? What do you do? Yeah. So what do you do? If you call them, you Google them, you know, yeah, but don't just pour it down the drain, right? So check before you do that. All right. Other regulatory information here tells you different states and their rules in different states. So other information. Okay, gives you some information there about chemical, condensed chemical dictionary. But why do you think working in a medical or healthcare facility, you need to know that? Why would you need to know how to read this? You know what you're working with? Yes. You don't put anybody in danger, and if something should happen, you know what to do, right? Because people panic, right? It happens. But if you can remember, oh yeah, Dr. Harris told me to go find a material safety data sheet, and if they don't know where it is, Google it. Google it online. It'll tell you what to do. But I mean, chemicals, I mean, we use chemicals all the time, and whether it's chemicals to clean your facilities, chemicals to take care of patients, whatever. I mean, like, you know, there's transporting issues, you know, like right now with the COVID vaccine, you know, those vaccines have to be transported, you know, freezing when they're, you know, delivered. All kinds of things you got to be aware of. You know, even like the city of West in Texas, you know, they had a big chemical fire a few years ago. They had a chemical explosion in their facility, and you know, so things happen. It's just, you know, you got to know what to do when those things happen. Because if you run in and see stuff going on, you don't know, you didn't read that you're supposed to go in with personal protective equipment. You know, you might have long-term physiological effects because you didn't figure out what to do first. So, you know, it's important to pay attention to that. So it's important from a lab safety standpoint, but it's also important for your careers. We want you to have long, healthy careers and safe careers. So, all right. So what we're going to do now, we're going to cover microscopes next time. So why don't you go ahead and do your exit tickets. So, yeah. So we'll do that next class. So if you go into your discussions, you should be able to do the exit ticket.